Hi everyone. So in this lesson, I'm going to explain how you can convert your PSM1 proposal to create your chapter 1 and chapter 3. Before that, I would like to explain about the PSM report structure. So for you know that we have a split semester for the PSM. This semester is PSM1 and the other following semester is for PSM2. So we cut the report into two sections. The first one is for PSM1. Report only contain half from the full report structure. Okay, and the other we have another two subsequent chapters, okay, to complete your PSM report. So for the PSM1 report, you will have four chapters. That is introduction, literature review, chapter 2, methodology in chapter 3, and finally analysis and design in the chapter 4. Basically, chapter 1 introduction is spent to describe the project background, the motivation, why you suggest the project, okay, the problem statement, the very brief about the domain case study you select, okay, and then the objective, the project scope, the significant, and also the expected outcome. So this is mostly talking about the background of the project itself, okay, not only about the project but the surrounding, the environment, the situation for which the project will be developed. It's the first chapter. And for the chapter 2, it is about the literature review. So this chapter is spent to describe the literature, the review of the literature in your case, okay. Basically, it will contain the detailed description about the case study, okay. For example, you are proposing school library, for example, school library information system. So in this chapter, you are going to describe what is a school library in very detail. How do the library process its data, of course the book information data, what document they use, what form they use, or any digital method or sensors or device, any device is used for them to support their book information recording. So this is about literature review. First, you review the domain application itself. Second, you can also review about the technology you use. For example, you are proposing what and information about flood detection. So flood detection uses some sensors and it has something to do with the IoT technology, right? So you here in chapter 2, you will revise what is IoT. So you give the explanation. What is IoT? It's all about. What is the architecture of the IoT? What makes the things is said to be is known to be IoT, and so on. So you will need this kind of literature. And the other things you can include in the literature review is like the method you use. Method is not methodology. Method is like approach, technique, okay, like you are using an information system or are you using an e-commerce, so you can review here means that you can review in terms of the definition, the architecture, the features, the significant, the advantages, and how was it applied in the real world. For example, e-commerce has been widely used in this sector, and you provide a reference here and there. Okay, so that is a literature review. Importantly for the PSM, this section, the other section under the literature review is a comparison of the existing system that exists in the market or in the application of the domain. For example, previously I mentioned about the system for school library, okay, a system library system school in the school. So you here in the literature review, you check, okay, in the market, in the real world, is there any system regarding the school library? Of course we have, right? So you study that system, you study the features and so on. You need to pick up three similar the function you want to compare, okay, and then you make a comparison. So this is the information you gain from the literature review is very useful for you to somehow follow, okay, the goodness that the existing system have, or to improve what is lacking in the existing system. Okay, for example, the existing system can provide automatic scanning, for example. Okay, so you in your project you want to follow it. So you note that why you want to follow, why you want to include the features that exist in that system into your system because of this. So from there you can improve your own suggested system. Okay, so that is about the literature review, chapter 2. And then in subsequent chapter is chapter 3, methodology. Again, methodology is something, the procedure, how the system will be developed, how the apps will be developed, how the research is conducted. So it must start from the beginning, from how the proposal is set up. How do you obtain the problem? How do you know that this is a problem? How do you start? So start from planning up to the analysis, design, implementation, and then what? Maintenance and so deployment and so on. So this is the methodology. So you need to explain for each stages what is happening. Okay, what is the activity for each stages. So we know that the methodology is the process how the project is conducted. So that's why you need to assist the methodology with the time planning, and it represented by the Gantt chart. Okay, that is our methodology, how the project is delivered, how the project is set up or built, okay, or developed. Okay, the last part is the chapter 4 in the PSM1 report, that is analysis and design. So when you start introduction, literature review, methodology, now is the time for you to produce the analysis and design. Okay, basically in this chapter it explains how the system is actually analyzed, the information you obtain, then you need to analyze it and then do the design for the new system. Okay, so this is the basic 4 required chapter for the PSM1, and you need to fulfill all these 4 chapters. So again, previously you already write a proposal, right? The more complete your proposal is, then it's easier for you to convert it to the chapter 1 and chapter 3. So you know that in your proposal you have this about 9 components in the proposal, from overview, objective, scope, and so on. Okay, then from this you can take some of its components to become a chapter 1. Okay, so take all of this to become a chapter 1. Exclude this part. So this will be in your chapter 3. Chapter 3, methodology. Okay. So from here, chapter 3, methodology. For project based, your methodology will be introduction. The project methodology you select, explaining the phases, phases 3 or 4 phases, and include with the activity, your own activity for that project. Then provide project planning Gantt chart and end with the chapter summary. For the research-based student, your chapter 3 methodology will be more extensive, because here is where you explain because usually you are creating your own methodology, so you need to build your own research framework, okay, and followed by this is the phases you create in your own research framework. Usually it contains some things like architecture or model structure, how the data selection, how do you select the data, how do the data preprocessing conducted, how about the parameter, how do you select the parameter, what to do with the parameter, and then experimental simulation, okay. For example, you are applying a neural network, so how do you plan to simulate the experiment, okay. So you need to explain in this chapter, okay, and usually end with the chapter summary. Okay, so let's go back to the writing chapter 1. Again, chapter 1 is almost similar with the project proposal, so you can reuse the information in your project proposal. Importantly, the clarity of the explanation, the sequence of the idea, the grammar, the language itself helps the reader to understand, okay, to understand clearly what will be developed, what is the project is all about, okay. So that's why you need to very carefully to write your words, okay, your sentence. It must be short, usually short and concise. Sometimes it need to be brief, okay. And then so you can start the overview by following this guide. You need to have at least minimum 4 paragraphs. The first paragraph is about to explain the nature of selected case study. If your case study is about agriculture, so you need to explain about the agriculture. If your case study is like saloon, for example, spa, saloon, so you need to explain in which industry they are in, what is the saloon, what is the service in the spa, and so on. If, for example, another example is about the car booking, okay, car rental booking, or room booking, and so on, so you need to explain what it's all about, okay, the nature, the background of the selected case study. And then followed by the second paragraph, explain the existing process. Okay, that's why I ask you to have an organization as a case study. So you can explain, you can use the sample of this case study you select to explain, to help you to explain the existing process. Example, this is the bigger case. Okay, the nature is bigger. Okay, for example, you select food delivery, right? Food delivery. Food delivery is under F&B industry plus some maybe e-commerce. Okay, so you need to explain here, very general. Okay, and then you select one company. For example, this is A and B company, this shop. This is belong to somebody, so you do case study here. Okay, and this company uses they run a business of a food making, okay, and they sell the food and do some delivery. Okay, so you can explain here, and they said you can, from there you can explain how do they do the food delivery, how do they manage their data of the delivery, how do they the receive, and so on, whatsoever. Okay, and so you can explain the existing process here, and then followed by the problems. Now currently they are doing the business like this, this. Okay, so is there any problem? So there may be a problem, so you set the problem in general. What is their current difficulties? And finally, when there is difficulty, so we need to propose a solution. So this is the solution, so you need to explain it. So the solution, you explain your own project, your own system. Okay, so by having this guide, you will see that it is a sequence of telling the reader that this project is purposely to solve or to address some problems that exist in one organization. That organization is basically represented the community of that. Okay, so that is why this guide is created for you. Okay, So next is a problem statement. Here, explain in details, okay, usually in 3 paragraphs, the issues and its implication. So what are the issues? Basically, because we are IT, computer science, the issue usually regarding on the data management, data delivery, transaction, okay, and how do we manage the data. The others is like to reduce the time, reduce the process complexity, reduce the time waiting, reduce the use of paper here and there, like that. Okay, so this is how you construct the problem statement. Next is the objective. Okay, the first objective will be to design. Okay, design. This is for the project base, to design. Okay, to develop. Okay, and to test. Right. Okay, design. You need to select object-oriented or structured. If object-oriented, you will produce UML later in chapter 4. If structured, you will produce the DFD. Okay, so this is the implication of your selection to design that project, to develop what project, and to test what project. So this is very simple, smart, okay, measurable, okay, objective. Okay, next is the scope. Here in the scope, usually you are required to explain who are the user, who are the administrator user, who are the common user. Okay, explain the user, explain the limitation of the domain. You can explain the data, the features, okay, and then you can explain the functions of the proposed system. Basically, it is represented by modules. 5 or 6 is enough module. This is the scope of the project. Scope of the project. Okay, next is expected result. What do you expect? What I'm as a supervisor, what I as a panel, what I am as your stakeholder expect from the result, expect from the project. So what do you expect from the proposed project? So at the end of the project, a system will be developed. At the end of the project, an application for flood detection is developed. So it means that what will be produced at the end of the project and what the system or apps or the proposed solution can do, can serve, what function they can provide to its users. So this is the content, how you can write your expected result. And finally, importance of the project, the significance. How do the proposed project or developed system or developed apps will contribute or will benefit the community? Okay, so this is the project significance. And finally, report organization. In the last section, section 1, usually chapter 1, we do not have a chapter summary. Okay, but we end the chapter 1 with the report organization. So list and describe each chapters contained in your report and clearly state what are the discussion content would be in your next chapter 2. Okay, so that's all for the writing chapter 1. All the best.